Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick,
I'm Ian.
and we're going to talk a little original pressings versus reissues or repressings.
Mhm.
It's a topic we've talked about before. If you do listen to our the Life and Draw podcast that Ian and I do, if you go all the way back to episode 69, we discussed this
69 dudes.
we discussed this at length. We talked about it. We're just going to kind of generally kind of go over it a little bit here, but we did a much longer, in-depth conversation about all that back then. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, go on back and check out the podcast pretty much everywhere you get podcasts.
If you're not interested, do it anyway.
Yeah. But thanks for liking the channel and all that stuff. We appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
And so I think this has kind of been a hot topic. Maybe not so much lately because everything going on in the world, obviously with COVID and all this other stuff. But like late last year, because I'm on a couple of different vinyl groups on Facebook, and there seemed like for like a solid, I don't know, probably 3 weeks or so, late in the year last year, it seemed like quite often this topic kept coming up of, well, what sounds better, an original pressing or the reissues that they've done? And I think it's kind of a mixed bag of what you get, because there's so many different things that go into a reissue, because a lot of the reissues that you're getting now are coming from digital sources just because,
That's all that's left.
yeah, that's all that's left. Who was the record company that had the big fire?
Was it it wasn't was it Capitol Records?
It was one of them. And
Okay.
the masters for just about everybody on their catalog was gone. Now,
Right.
granted, those aren't the only masters of those albums. They've got, studios have storage facilities all over the world where and they've got multiple masters of just about everything. But it's a lot harder to find the original masters to make these remasters with. So a lot of them are like sourced from digital material and things like that, which can alter the sound quality.
Now,
were you trying to say
real
something,
quick, I was going to ask you if they have a digital master, because I mean a lot of music today is recorded digitally. It's recorded as a digital master.
Almost all of it is.
Right. So if it's say a DAT file, and it's of an original, something that was originally done in analog, it would still be good. It would still be high end because it would still be in that higher hertz or whatever level it would need to be at
when it comes
you get from the analog.
When it comes to like digital mastering, I think it has more to do with the person doing the master,
right?
A lot of the times. Now, granted, I've bought some bootleg vinyl that I'm pretty sure was sourced from like a CD. So that's different than a digital master,
right?
Because a digital master sometimes can sound better than what was produced in the say mid 70s through early 80s, kind of like the last 15 years of like the vinyl age, if you want to call it that.
Right.
But I think there's definitely pros and cons to both sides of it. Because even like with the reissues, I think like the packaging, obviously is leaps and bounds ahead of where it was, even 25 years ago, 25, 30 years ago.
Right.
So I think overall, it a lot of times it can be a nicer packaging. A lot of times, especially with like older pressings, the audio is a little more compressed. I think we've talked about it before that.
And I've noticed it more and more too. Especially having some older versions and then getting newer versions, I'm noticing the compression a lot more.
Yeah, because when you compress vinyl, when you compress the audio that goes on vinyl, when you compress it, it gets quieter. Which, if you've got a higher end system, it might not be a big issue.
Right.
But I mean, a lot of people don't. I've got like I don't think my system is necessarily like entry level, but it's definitely no more high, nothing higher than like a mid-grade system. I don't have
Right.
like higher end speakers or anything like that.
Right.
So I think if with a better quality system, it might not make a big difference having it be a quieter or a duller sound,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah, but
not
if you
as
turn it up too
noticeable.
much, you get a lot more of the hiss and cracks.
Distortion.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I was getting at. And
Yeah.
I think higher end systems can be a little bit more forgiving when it kind
Right.
of comes to those background noises, than kind of your like entry level or mid grade tables. um so you get about 20 minutes per side of an album. If you're going over that 20 or 21-minute mark, generally there's going to be some compression there. And I think that's why you get a lot of albums that, and people say, well, this was a single album when it was released in 86. Why is it a double LP now? Are they just trying to you know get an extra buck out of me for a double album? And it's not. Generally, for the most part, it probably has more to do with the fact that it's going to be uncompressed audio, and that's why it's on a double instead of a single LP.
Right. Yeah, because I have several like that are or even not just, they weren't originally like specifically say Ian Anderson's last solo album, Homo Eradicus. It's only about 50 minutes, but it's on
Mm-hmm.
two discs.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, why? It didn't need to be.
Yeah.
But based on that is why it is,
Yeah. And I also kind of like the even though I don't know it, the story that comes along with an original pressing. That's something that, because I don't go out of my way generally to get an original pressing and then also a remastered copy or a reissued copy. I have with a lot of the Pink Floyds. I've got some Tall that's original and reissue. I've got some Def Leppard that's original and reissue. And I was listening to, this was kind of one that I was listening to earlier today. This is it's in one of these shiny cases, so you can't really see it really well in the
I can see it. It
picture
looks
here.
fine. You can see it.
So this is Metal, which came out in 71, I think. Yeah, 71. Metal came, this is the original UK pressing of Metal. Okay. It sounds good. Sounds great. It's a fantastic album. Probably Pink Floyd's you know, most underrated album. It's probably, I think it's outside of the big four, this is their best work outside of that album, outside of that like four set. But if you listen, this is the 2016 remastered. It sounds better. It sounds crisper.
Right.
There's better depth to the audio, and even though they both sound fantastic, there's just a slight tone difference between the two. And for someone that doesn't, I mean, I've listened to this album hundreds of times, it seems like, especially in the last couple of years. And maybe someone that hasn't listened to it a whole lot doesn't necessarily pick up on some of the intricacies that you hear in the reissued one. But I just think it just sounds fantastic. And there's another one, I know you'll attest to this, but I don't have an original pressing of this.
I do. I have
I
an
don't have
original reprise.
Yeah, so this is Aqualung by Jethro Tull. It's an album that I used to own, an old, I don't know if it was an original pressing, but it was definitely an early 70s pressing that I owned until my parents threw my records out.
Right.
But
Which we talked about before.
yeah, the Steve Wilson remaster is incredible.
It is. It really is.
Even if you're a Jethro Tull fan, just a casual Jethro Tull fan, because I feel like Jethro Tull is one of those bands you either love them or like or hate them.
Yeah,
If you're a
unfortunately.
casual Jethro Tull fan, you got to check out the Steve Wilson remix of this, because it is absolutely fantastic, and it's head and shoulders better than the original.
Yeah, and it has more to do, and that's not just vinyl, that's across the board, because that album was recorded in pretty shitty circumstances.
Uh-huh.
The band was never happy with the sound of it, and then when the CD era came out, they could not get it good. They could not get a good version on CD, no matter what they used. They even remastered it twice. The second remaster was a huge improvement by far, but nothing compares to the Steve Wilson remix on vinyl.
Yeah, absolutely. Another band that I feel there's a huge difference between their original work and the remastered reissue ones.
Mhm.
Is the Beatles. The only like older pressing I have, this is the original pressing of Let It Be, which is a fantastic album. It sounds good. You know, all the
Yeah.
old Beatles stuff sounds good. But when I just recently finally went back and bought all the, so in 2012 they remastered and reissued all the Beatles albums,
Mhm.
and you can buy them. And there's a mono box set you can buy and a stereo box set you can buy.
Right.
The I've got all the 2012 stereo reissues, and this is just like the Steve Wilson Aqualung. This just sounds better.
Right.
There's a just an overall better sound, you know. And like I said, I'm not knocking the original pressing of it, and it's not always that case. You know, I've had some albums that are, you know, 30, 40, 45 years old that sound like they were just pressed. You know,
Right.
they have that great sound, that crisp sound. But there's definitely some reissues that I have where it's a noticeable difference. Another one I have is I didn't grab a copy of it, but I've got it's an original US pressing of Dark Side of the Moon.
Mhm.
Fantastic. But there's just a little slight difference between that and the 2016 reissue that just makes I'll play that 2016 reissue more than I will my original
Right.
pressings.
Yeah.
But I can say
My
that the 30th anniversary uh Dark Side of the Moon is the complete opposite. It does not have, I don't know if it was just the master that it was sourced from, but just it's got kind of that duller, kind of more compressed
mm,
sound to it.
okay. I I've always had this feeling that with when it comes to like um original pressings, it's more about people wanting to buy it and it's just original form. They have, like you said, like a story behind it.
Yeah.
More slightly more than the sound than the sound quality, because I think it's obvious that if you're buying brand new, you're buying everything's 180 gram, pretty much 120 gram,
Generally
180 gram.
160 to 200
Yeah,
gram.
right. So everything's going to be on the thicker vinyl, the more sturdy vinyl. Everything's obviously going to have been cleaned up before it's repressed now.
Yeah.
So obviously they're going to get better quality
That's
sound
not
out of
always
it.
that's not always the case though,
I know, but I mean
because
what
a
I'm
lot of
saying
the
is
stuff like from pretty much a lot of the stuff until the end of the 60s, maybe 70, 71, stuff that was pressed prior to that, I think a lot of that stuff has a better sound quality because vinyl was the dominant form. I mean, it was really the only way to get music
right, right.
was on vinyl. So, you know, even if you get in like RCA was doing Dynaflex, and those Dynaflex albums, really until the late 60s, because of the thinness of them, they had to use pristine virgin vinyl on those albums.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there was a different artistry and technique to vinyl, really until like the early 70s. And I think a lot of the stuff from, you know, beginning of the 70s on, I think is where you tend to get into, yeah, the remasters generally you
Sound
can get a
better.
better sound out of them. They're more cleaned up. But I feel like a lot of the stuff in the 60s, you know, at least I can't tell a difference really between the original pressing and the remastered stuff.
I see. Okay. Because like I said, I've always kind of saw it as more just like a niche thing where, I want the original. I don't want anything new, but you know, not taking that into account, I mean, I guess it just depends on what people are talking about. If they're talking about later era stuff, then I
Yeah,
think it's more just about the nostalgia, the story, the fact that other
yeah,
people have had this and experienced this particular record, this
yeah. Well,
this actual physical version of this record.
yeah, because you figure like this. Like I said, I'm not the original owner of this, obviously,
Yeah,
from
right.
from 71. You know, how many times, just think of all the times that people like sat around. This probably been sold and resold again before I got it. You know, all the people that sat down and enjoyed this and the stories that it could tell, you know.
Right. the drugs that could have been
Yeah.
around.
But you know, there's some people that I meet at the, or I've talked to at the local record store, you know, that shop there, that are, you know, very passionate about getting that the original pressing.
Right, right,
You know, but I'm sure it's a personal preference. I'm kind of in the middle because
right,
I enjoy both of them,
right.
you know, for different reasons, I guess.
I I would say I'm pretty much more on the other side. If it's new, if there's a repressing of it, I'm most likely going to buy the repressing.
Yeah,
Um, just just because it's brand new, and um, I don't have to. It's I appreciate
it's the
older.
packaging and
It's the
everything else. Yeah,
packaging, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, all
I
my
get it.
Alice Coopers, I had several of them that were, I don't know if they were original pressings, but they were old pressings.
Yeah,
Um, but he reissued all those, a lot, well, almost all of them, at least all the old ones except for two. I had a few of them because that's how I bought them originally. So I wanted
yeah,
everything to be together. So specifically, if there's a band out there, if I bought one on a reissue, I'm going to try and get them all just so they're uniform. So they're all
yeah.
of the same
Yeah, I
period.
mean, I guess I do the same thing. Like I bought all the Pink Floyd reissues. I bought all
Mm,
those. I've got all the Beatles reissues. I guess I kind of agree with you there because a lot of the stuff, if I'm gonna buy a band's entire catalog, I'm probably gonna buy the reissued
mm,
albums and then go back, and if I have favorite albums of their catalog, I'll go back and buy original pressings of those
just to
albums
have them, yeah.
just to have them.
Um,
Like I've got what? I've got 5 or 6 different copies, and they're all different pressings of Dark Side of the Moon. I've
right.
got 4 or 5 different pressings of The Wall.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's a perfect example for me because you gave me a copy of Dark Side of the Moon.
mm-hmm.
But if I go and buy anymore, I want to get Division Bell, I want to get The Wall, I want to get Momentary Lapse of Reason, I want to get Animals, I want to get Wish You Were Here. Actually, you gave me Wish You Were Here too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I only have those two that are original pressings. If I'm going to buy those other ones, specifically Division Bell, because I don't think that was actually ever released on vinyl, was it?
Division Bell. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. That was
Was it?
'94 or so.
Yeah, 94. But I'm going to buy the reissue of that, so I'm going to want them to all be uniform. So I will end up buying Wish You Were Here and Dark Side of the Moon reissues as well,
Yeah,
just to have a uniformity to the collection.
yeah,
I keep my other ones separate. I keep my original pressing separate because I've at least original purchase. They were purchased by my dad, when they
yeah.
came out.
Back in the day, yeah,
So the Jethro Tull. So I have all those, but I have them separated from the actual collection. I have
yeah,
my collection, and then I have my other collection. That's kind of how I organize it.
yeah.
So
I get it.
so the Dark Side and Wish You Were Here will move over to the collection, the other collection, and I can have my actual vinyl collection.
Yeah,
So
for the most part, I get like you said, the original pressings for more the collectability side of it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because a lot of the
that's
stuff, like I've got my original U.S. pressing of Dark Side of the Moon. I'm not going to listen to it very often. It's an
right.
expensive album. It's something that's not easily available. So I might pull it out once a year and listen to it. If I'm going to listen to Dark Side of the Moon, I'll listen to the 2016 remastered version of it.
Right, because as you said, that's a better sounding version anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Even though the original pressing sounds fantastic. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
there's not a huge difference to it.
Right,
I notice it because I've listened to that album hundreds of times.
right. I mean, I guess I can notice a difference between old records and new records. That as kind of baseline as that is, or remedial as
Mhm.
that is.
Yeah,
Because as a matter of fact, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's an original pressing but it's an old pressing of Kansas Point of No Return. I played it. I have had it for a couple years, and I played it recently, and it just sounded shitty. And I
yeah.
don't know why. I mean,
Is it the one you bought a reissue of?
I ended up buying a reissue of it, and now as a result, I bought another Kansas that's reissued, and I'm gonna go back and buy all their other old
Yeah,
ones that are reissued. So,
just for uniformity.
just
But
again for uniformity. Yep.
That's all I had. It's just a,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah. Like you said,
I think it comes down to just personal preference for the most
it really does. And like you said, go back and listen to the podcast where we kind of go more in depth about
part.
it. So
If you can drop us a comment down below, tell us what you decide or what you lean towards. Do you go more towards the original pressings, or you like the remasters? Or
yeah, definitely. Because I'm sure if there's other people who have stronger opinions
oh
about
yeah,
it.
I'm sure, yeah.
So
Because
hey, let us
I
know
think
what you
I
think.
think we're both kind of indifferent to it for the most part. I mean,
Yeah, probably. So yeah, definitely. I'd be
there's probably
curious to
people out
hear.
there. There's probably people out there watching this. They're mad as hell because we really don't we don't care one way or another, I
Right,
guess.
right. You sons of bitches don't know what you're talking about.
But
But tell us, let us know.
yeah.
Yeah. I have no problem with bad criticism, with angry, aggressive criticism.
But
I can,
yeah, go
because I
back.
don't have to respond to it. Just send it out there.
Yeah, go back and check out some other episodes of the Vinyl Den, and I think we've been trying to do these Thursday shows also, which are kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is like the big show. I put this up on Sundays at noon, and then we have a Thursday show. So check that out every week also. And
Yeah. Yeah. If you're watching this, there should be a Thursday show with me, the ugly guy, and then I don't know. I might have another one because I had more records coming through the mail. So we'll see what happens.
but yeah, there's some other stuff I want to do. I'm gonna do like a Thursday show where I go over some of my Pink Floyd albums and things like that too. So definitely come back regularly, like I said, every Thursday, every Sunday, and check out the show, and give us a thumbs up, subscribe down below. If you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and give it a share, leave a comment. You can email us at the Vinyl Den channel at gmail.com. That's about it. Anything else to add there, Ian?
I'm good.
Yeah, go and check out and like our Facebook page also.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Ian agrees. Yes,
I do. 9 out of 10 Ians agree.
All right. Well, until next time,
Talk to y'all later.
keep on spinning. Peace.